Hello. Sorry, I was checking some stuff on my dashboard, so it looked like I zoned out and was just staring blankly at the screen. But yeah, time for another live stream while I study. I look a hot mess because I just woke up and then came to a cafe. Um, I don't know how the stream's gonna go, but that's just gonna keep me motivated to study because your girl cannot study by herself for some reason. I kind of need some people to kind of like be there and stuff like that, you know? So many messages. Alright, so let's get this shit show on the road. Maybe. Oh, this is one. Oh, Google Translate. Well, well, I mean, I can't write Korean on my keyboard yet, so this is what we're gonna have to do. I'm having a white chocolate mocha because it is before 12 o'clock and I can have coffee before 12. I never spoke about that, but my ADHD doctor does not want me to have coffee before 12 o'clock. So I'm only allowed to have coffee between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And that's just to restrict me from having too much caffeine, but also um, if I have caffeine too late, then my sleeping pills won't work. So then my brain is just still in overdrive. So this does help in that sense. It does restrict me, but it is helping me have like a better like sleeping pattern and better like just taking care better at taking care of my body. Because honestly, I would abuse coffee. Like I'd have like 4 coffees a day. Back in Australia when I was working, I was just like, yeah, first thing in the morning, I'll have a cup of coffee. In the middle of the day at lunchtime, the friends are like, do you want a cup of coffee? I'm like, yeah, I'll have another coffee. And then maybe an hour or so before closing, I'll be like, you know what, I need another coffee. And then, I'll go out with friends, we'll go get dessert or something. Everyone's like, hot chocolate? I'm like, nah, I'll get a coffee. Like, it gets pretty bad. And I was still sleeping. And that's truly because, like, I was depressed. Caffeine had no hold on me because I was that depressed. But it's not good. It's not a brag. You should be very careful of what you consume. Um, let's see. Resolution. What is my resolution for this class? The resolution for this class is to do my best. I think I'll end up finishing this homework before lunch. So hopefully, because I'm gonna have sushi for lunch. Been a while. I love sushi. Okay, resolution done. Opinion of the class. What is my opinion of this class? Um, even though there's currently no one watching, I am completely satisfied with the fact that putting myself on live, on blast to do my homework is a good way of making sure that I actually do it. And yeah, that's literally just my personal thing because I really am not good at this stuff. So that's why I'm very happy that it's the show. Let's see. I'm gonna hit 26. I'm looking at my student number. Good enough, because I cannot type Korean on my keyboard, and I definitely do not want my professor to get this mixed up. And this is sports marketing. Let's upload this homework before I forget. I have 2 days left. I could have just typed it on the system and I did it on Word. Nice. That's really funny. Really funny. I was watching this TikTok where a girl was like, oh, what's she say? She was like, oh, I can't do any homework unless it is done on Word in a certain font. Like, I can't type any essays. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I thought about it. And I was like, shit, I'm the same. I was like, I cannot do homework on notes. I can take notes on notes, but it doesn't sink in until I go onto Word and make a document and then type up everything. And it's like, oh, that makes more sense. Like, that's actually, for some reason, it works better that way. So even though the system is like you can just type everything in the system and then submit it that way, I was like, I mean, I could, but I couldn't focus. I sat there for 10 minutes trying to think of like one sentence. And then in the end, I ended up just using Word documents. And I was like, well, this is much faster. I end up just copying and pasting anyway. So at the end of the day, study tip is don't take study tips from me, but this one is very important. Do what works for you because if it doesn't, then it's quite hard. And especially for someone with ADHD, you have to be careful. Okay, personality class. Right, let's get this. Let's get this done. And then I have to start doing the outline for my fine art presentation, which is due. Shit, when is it due? Fine art. Joke, that's Christian. I get my classes mixed up, but I really shouldn't do that, you know? 7th, 7th, 10 p.m. So today's the 4th. It's due on Monday at 10 p.m., which is fine because I have like all of Monday to work on it. So if I do an outline now, it'll make my life easier on Monday because I don't have a lot of time to actually do the proper presentation and research now because I have to get to work. So do as much as I can. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, I'm just rambling to myself at this point. But like I said, just rambling to myself helps keep me pretty focused because I'm getting rid of all this extra energy that I for some reason have. Um, yeah. My personality is very relaxed. Uh,
실버 고객님, 주문하신 메뉴가 나왔습니다.
the Google Translate probably doesn't work, so I'll see how this goes with this document, but I don't know how this is going on. Oh my gosh, this comes out when I'm bored, and this is here to just shoot my own screen. Not that this is a really good situation anymore. So if you don't know, I don't do voices very well, so yeah, I can't even do a Chinese accent, man. I can't even do an Asian accent. That's like Konglish is so hard for me. I've talked about this before on a TikTok. For me personally, I just think that like it just feels very somewhat racist to me when I use Konglish because my entire life has been like Don't use an accent when you speak English. Don't use an accent when you speak English. And like I used to get bullied for it when I was a kid when I was trying to learn how to speak English. And for me now, like using Konglish, sometimes it just feels really. I just feel very uncomfortable, but it's like it's the norm here, so I have to get over that. And even when I was learning Japanese and we had to do katakana and other stuff, I would often feel very uncomfortable when we had to pronounce like English words in a Japanese context because Japanese don't have a word for it. For example, like computer, it'd be like computer, and I just felt like I was playing into that stereotype. And like, there's no harm in it at all. It's just it's been such a stigma, such a trauma kind of thing for me. So like, whenever I do have to use like Konglish in Korea, I'm just like I feel really uncomfortable, and that's just a personal thing. So you know, no disrespect to anyone about that stuff, but yeah, it is what it is. You know, you can't really change it. It's been like that for a very long time. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just chilling, trying to do my best. Um, I gotta finish up the 3 questions. I have 3 questions left on this homework. I submitted one already, so we're getting somewhere. What is personality education? I do not understand what it is. I do not know what personality education is. Good morning. How are you doing? We're gonna celebrate Papa Chris's birthday today. But yeah, it's Papa Chris's birthday today. He's gonna be a grandpapa soon, man. He's gonna be pop, not papa. Mm, but I feel like there is psychology. I feel like there's psychology involved in this. You and he already has grandkids. He has puppies, man. The puppies are his grandkids. Um, but yeah, maybe.
주문하신 메뉴가 나왔습니다.
I mean, neither of us want kids until 30 though, so he's gonna be a while. He's like, I don't want to have kids until I'm 30. I'm like, you forgot that I'm 2 years older, right? So, we're gonna be kids when he's 30. We're gonna have kids when he's like 30 and I'm 32, which is good. I get time to do my shit, you know. So it's like I don't want to rush. Like having a kid is a big thing, and like no disrespect to anyone that has kids early on and stuff. Like it's just my personal preference not to have kids early, and like I wanna. We both said, you know, we want to get married early, do whatever it is we want to do as a married couple, and then eventually, when we're settled in enough, when we're prepared enough, we can have kids. You know, when we're both mentally stable enough to handle the fact that hey, we brought a human into this life. You know, um, that child did not ask to be born. It is a selfish request of us to have a child. So when you make a decision to have a kid, it is important to understand that you know you have to do the best you can, and if you cannot provide for them, then you know. But even if you love them unconditionally, it's like, well, you can do what you want. Like it's your life, it's your child. However, for us, we believe that like you have to be ready for it, and that's just our thing. You know, if neither of us are ready or okay with it, then we do not want to force that child to take on the burden of us being unprepared in like a major way. Like I said, I feel like just having kids is a selfish request on the parents' behalf, even if they're an accident. I mean, I'm an accident, and my parents love me, even though I'm an accident. All 3 of us are accidents. Some parents still love us, but like, you know, you gotta accidents and actions have consequences, and if you decide to have a child, then you know you gotta accept that consequence and do your best because that child did not ask to be born. So you made a choice. You gotta do it. And you know, with all the new abortion laws and stuff, it's really shit because Now women aren't getting to have this choice over their own bodies. So I mean, I'm pro-choice, 100%. Like there's there's like no gray line. Like you're not the one who's carrying the child. The child is physically draining the energy and life out of the mother. Whoever's having their life drained and body drained by that child, the quantum cells, whatever you want to call it, should be the one to make that decision. Like no one else should have that choice. It's their body. They're going to go through all the physical changes and the mental challenges of pregnancy. Like no one realizes how damaging pregnancy really is. Like a lot of people bounce back, that's great. But the thing is, physically and mentally there is a lot of damages, and most people don't think about that because it's part of life. Like I get that it's part of life. We are given the option to have kids. We don't have to have kids. We have that option. And the thing is, we have a subconscious. We have a subconscious as humans. We are probably one of the very few sentient life on this planet that has a choice. Animals don't really get that choice because they have mating season. They have heat where their body just does it like it. They don't have any control over it realistically. For humans, a lot of us are identifying as asexual or just generally don't have a desire to have kids. And, everyone has their own choice, everyone has their own life. So realistically, anyone that shames anyone to have a kid is like just ignorant, in my opinion. I get that people want to preserve the bloodline and stuff, but there are so many kids without families. And like, thing is, a lot of the time they didn't ask to be born, right? So why are we trying to bring more people in when there's so many people who don't have the love and support? We should be trying to help everyone before we try and bring more things in, because if there's so many people or so many kids, like how are you supposed to help anyone in that sense? Because then it's just selfish. Like that's not my kid, they're not related to me, so I don't have to give a shit about them. Well, yeah, technically you don't. However, your child's going to see a world where they don't have to give a shit about anybody else, essentially. So at the end, I just personally feel like if you're not ready to help somebody else, then you really have to reevaluate what kind of world you want to bring your child into, because the world is never going to be sunshine and rainbow. It never will, as long as there is human opinion and human emotions, I guess, like ego and greed and stuff like that. This world will never have rainbows and sunshine. And a lot of people have to realize that. And yeah, I had a conversation with my parents about it. I was like to my parents, I was like, I don't think Jin and I would have kids until at least 30. And my parents were like, that's fine, because my mom had me when she was 28. She had my elder brother when she was 31. Then my youngest brother was born like when she was 34. Yeah, 34. And given a situation like that, my mom was fairly, you know, old in that sense, because most Asian women would have kids much, much earlier for my mom's generation. But a lot of girls my age are having families and kids, which is great. Probably not. So like, you get what I mean, right? It's everyone's own choice to have kids. No one can force you to have. No one should be able to force that ideal on you if that's something that you don't want. And infertility is something that people need to learn to accept. It's not every person is supposed to have be fertile in that sense. Otherwise, we would have been overpopulated like millennia ago. And at the same time, like it's it's just a really toxic mindset, in my opinion, where people are forcing you to have kids because they want to preserve the bloodline. Like, listen, there's enough people on this planet to preserve the human race. And to preserve your own individual bloodline is a little bit selfish, because at the same time, we all pretty much come from the same ancestors. So realistically, the bloodline is continued regardless of what you think. And yeah, I know a lot of people would be very against what I'm saying, but this is my opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Like I said, if you want to have kids, have kids. want to have 100 kids, go for it. If your body can handle that, or if you want to adopt 100 kids, like, you know, you do you. It's your life. This is your current time to make the decision and do what you want to do. And for me personally, I would love to have my own kids. Like, I'll give birth to kids, but then I also want to adopt a lot of kids and help them out as well. But like I said, I have to be financially and mentally prepared for all of this before I do any of that. And people say, oh, you know, you don't have to be prepared to have a kid and stuff like that, which is completely fine. Like, you don't have to be physical, mental, or ready for it, but it's just a personal choice that I want to be ready for that. So even though people are like, oh, you'll find the pieces as you go along, just have the baby, you'll figure it out. Like, I do not want to do that to anyone. Like, even in my relationship with Jim, at the start, I literally had a breakdown because I was like, I don't know if you can deal with my mental health. I don't know if you can deal with me at all. Like, I really just don't want you to deal with all of this. And he's the one to calm me down. Then why are you here? See, it's okay, Ethan. We'll all be there when you get married at 50. We all support you to get married at 50 on your first wedding. But it's just a topic that people need to talk about more because as the days go by, the governments are trying to regulate and put more laws and obstruct a lot more choices and take away freedom of women choosing what they want to do with their bodies. We won't get married that early. We probably won't get married till at least 20, at least until he's like 25, 26. Because he still has military to do. He still has to graduate. Even though I'm 2 years older, like we're about the same path, like same, how you say, like journey, length, whatever. So I don't really mind if he wants to do it when he's 25. Like that gives me more time to figure out my shit. So at the end of the day, it's just talk, communicate, make sure you guys are both happy with the current plan-ish. Like it's not a solid plan. It's just like a definition of a plan. Like we just said, listen, this is what we're gonna do. Ish, like this is what I kind of want to do. So yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, abs are totally here. Yes. By the time you have abs, I feel like I will have great grandkids. Seriously. Oh, anyways, I have to go back to doing homework because I went off a tangent to rant about this because of all the stuff I've been seeing about the new laws that are coming out to regulate women's bodies and choices. Like the whole Texas thing is wild. Actually wild. Like you can get paid to snitch on people that you think is having an abortion or had an abortion with this new law. Like this is literally like the Salem witch hunt where you go, oh, I think my neighbor's a witch, and then they get tested and they get hung. Like it's just literally trying to oppress. It's just trying to oppress people again. And like I said, everyone has their own choices to make in life, and everyone is entitled to their own choice and opinion. However, like it is not okay to just literally take something that is entitled to that person's being, the essence of their being. Like, do not get to regulate an organ that you don't have. It's like telling your lungs to stop breathing or putting a tax every time you have to breathe. And yeah, essentially breathing is not the same as giving birth, but you're telling an organ that you have to keep a child in you if the organ is dying or it's killing the host or the mother, like, or whoever's carrying it, because some people carrying babies right now do not identify as female. So whoever's carrying that baby and it's endangering their life, apparently the clump of cells or the life is draining the life of another person who is actually a contribution to society right now. Like, are you serious? I gotta charge my laptop. Where is the charging port? Sorry, my back hurts. I need a new mattress. By the way, I'm at Idiot Cafe. I wanted to go to my usual one down the road, but I was like, I don't want to cross the road, so I just came to Edia. So yeah, it's okay. Like I said, the child cannot contribute to society until what, 18 practically, 16, 18. You're expecting, like, you're gonna have an influx of kids who are going to most likely be abused or underprivileged or disadvantaged because they were forced to be born essentially to people and families and situations where they cannot handle a child. That is just morally wrong. Like, I get that it's a living thing inside the mother. However, that thing is not contributing to society. It doesn't pay taxes. It's going to live off taxes if it gets chucked into foster care, and then it's going to bounce around in foster care. Like, if you think about everything like that, you're willing to take away a lot of women and essentially uteruses rights and freedom just because of religion. Like, I'm not taking a diss at anyone's religion. However, it is wrong to make someone sacrifice their life because of a couple of cells that is like, hey, it has a heartbeat. Yeah, but is it doing anything else besides draining the living daylight and light out of the person carrying it? And the thing is, if you apply that situation to the wild, animals who animals never really have to give birth. There's no such thing as contraception in the wild for animals. So, these guys are popping out babies all the time. However, babies get murked. They literally get hunted down, and only the strongest survive. Right? And the thing is, humans are killing them, so now everyone's like, okay, like, we have to save the babies. Yeah, that's great. However, we fucked it up. We dwindled their population. So at the end of the day, it's our fault. Nature's course is they have babies. There are natural hunters and predators that eat the babies that don't survive. But here we are trying to add more to our population, add more to our consumption when we're already filled to the brim. This planet was not created to have this many people. We do not have the resources. Well, we do, but the top 1% that hold all the resources do not want to share. So essentially, it's saying if we're going to have this big of a population, fucking share. And like I said, I know a lot of people don't agree with it, and a lot of people are like, why are you going off such a tangent? But I've gotten to a point where I feel like if you don't say something, you're part of the problem now. Idiot. And, as someone who's online, someone with a uterus, and someone who speaks enough languages for people to fucking understand this message, if I want to use other languages, fucking use it. Do not throw away the advantages that I have to say something. Yeah, I am ethnically, I'm a minority, except for in my own country, technically. However, a lot of Chinese people do have prejudice against Chinese that live abroad because they see them as not fully Chinese because their mindset is not Chinese. But at the same time, ethnically, I am a minority. However, that doesn't mean you don't have any power. The more we speak, the more we show our understanding and outrage and opinions about those things, the more people will start to think about it themselves. And even if no one watches you, I spoke. I did my part. I spoke. And I don't think I will ever not talk about this in any of my platforms. And I just feel like it's something that people need to start respecting and understanding because this is our reality. We've gotten to a point where birth rates are dropping, the populations are becoming aging populations, And the older generation are still trying to pressure people into having kids, when realistically the economy does not allow people my age or a little bit older to have kids to be able to physically and financially support them. Most families are working, like two working parent households now because it's just too expensive. Inflation, how also with minimum wages that governments are refusing to raise, like, and the lack of support for parents and the government in that, in all those things, how are you supposed to do anything if all you can do is work in a system that is broken for everyone? And yeah, I'm lucky that I grew up in Australia. I'm an Australian citizen, etc., and all those things. And I have, more benefits than a lot of people already. But at the same time, as a woman, I've lost I've lost a lot of shit compared to guys. But at the same time, it is up to women to fight for it. I mean, we didn't get to vote until the last 100 or so years. 100 or so years. Like, goddamn, that wasn't a long time ago, you guys. And it's getting ridiculous these days with what people perceive as their freedoms and rights being taken away. I'm gonna go into like an anti-vax kind of rant thing, but the amount of shit I've seen from anti-vaxxers, what the actual fuck? And these are the same people that are like, don't regulate my body, it's my body, my choice. Okay, but why are you supporting an abortion law that is essentially going to be killing off a lot of women who have critical, like, really bad pregnancies where those pregnancies are going to kill someone? Like, what happens to my body, my choice? If you cannot use that statement to fuel your agenda because you don't want to get vaccinated, fine, don't get vaccinated, catch COVID, you probably die. Like, okay, like, I really simply cannot wrap my brain around the fact that these people, because it's not just women, it's not just men, it's a whole group of people. Because it's grouping everybody else in between. It's not just one gender that is specifically doing it. It is an all-around group of people. I'm just really tired because the other day, someone in our school group chat was like, "I don't want the vaccine because it's free." Okay, like, I get that you might be suspicious of free things. However, it is a time where you need it, physically you need it, and socially you should get it. That way it is going to lessen the burden on everybody else. And I really wanted to say something in there. However, I didn't say anything because that person probably wouldn't have understood me anyway. So all I'm saying is, as someone who is a high risk, because I have asthma and I'm anaphylactic to half the air, if I catch it, I am the first person on the ventilator in the room. Like, you will not catch me with it. I already shutted that ventilator. Like, that's how it is. Yeah. And she was very rude about it too. I sent a screenshot to Jin. I was like, what is this? And the school staff were trying to just calm her down and just explain to her the situation. And the thing is, she is not Korean. She's an international student. And this person was just making it look really bad for the rest of us international students, the way she was acting. Because I'm not saying Koreans aren't open-minded, but in their country, they're still learning to accept a lot of foreigners. Their culture is very open in accepting everyone. However, there are still people who are very old school in that sense, without trying to offend anyone right now. And the thing is, for me personally, I don't really get that prejudice very much because I look Korean. And when I speak English, they just assume that I am someone who grew up abroad or like studies English and stuff like that. And I don't have to feel that. But I've seen enough creators online, and I've got personal stories from people who definitely don't look Asian, have to deal with. I've got friends who tell me that, when they walk past some Koreans, these Koreans put their mask closer, or they cover their mask, and then as soon as they walk past them, they put their hand down or put their mask down. And that's prejudice because my friend is not Korean passing. And like, that's what really shifts me, because there's been times at work where customers have been rude or just very unpleasant to staff who are obviously not Asian passing. And when my friend or I go, because she's Korean and I'm Korean passing, they are very nice to us. But then when I tell them, hey, listen, I'm not Korean, I'm a foreigner, they change their tone with me. I'm not saying that's everyone, but that's enough of them for me to know that, like, I am privileged to be Asian passing or to be Korean passing in a country where some people are still very prejudiced against foreign people. And with that being said, that girl, where she was going off a tangent saying that she didn't trust it and she wasn't going to get it, was putting on a lot of harm for everyone who is a high risk person of COVID, but also the rest of our foreign kids in the school. Because in that group chat, there is over 100 people in there, and there's a lot of staff. And what ends up happening is a lot of the upper staff, which is above our office staff, are also in that group chat, and they audit these group chats and they see, which ultimately ends up also painting a bad picture for the rest of the future kids that are going to come in and study. And like I said, it's not all of them. It's not all. There is enough of them, especially high up in power, that they don't exactly look fondly to foreign people. And it can be very hurtful and damaging to future people. You have to be very aware of every move you make. So at the end of the day, being anti-vax is your choice. However, realize that your actions and opinions also have consequences. Just because you decide not to vaccinate, that's fine. Then your choice would be to stay home and stay away from everyone. That is your option, because you're deciding not to do the safest thing. And I'm not trying to restrict anyone from living their life. However, our current situation is, if you don't get vaccinated, this thing is going to keep spreading and keep mutating. If we can at least get everyone vaccinated that can get vaccinated, then get vaccinated, and we can stop a lot of the transmission in up the hospital. I have a friend who is a COVID floor managing nurse. He got put onto the managing role because the manager quit because they had enough. But also, this friend of mine, he's the same age as me. He's 23, and he cannot go home. He has to live in a hospital. He hasn't gone home. He hasn't seen his mom. He hasn't seen anyone because of his job. And this has been going on ever since the first cases in Sydney. My friend is one of the people with the biggest heart in the world. Absolutely the biggest gentle giant. She's an absolutely amazing nurse, amazing person. But because of people who are trying to sneak around the rules at the moment in Sydney, just doing everything against realizing their actions have a huge consequence, the numbers have risen to over 1,000 cases back at home in Australia right now per day. And with that rise, obviously our hospitals are flooded. Even though our country is only 25 million people, we do not have the infrastructure to deal with if 20 million of these people end up in the ICU or the hospital. We do not have that. Even though we have free healthcare, that doesn't mean our hospitals are going to build in like 2 days and be able to facilitate all these people suddenly being checked in because they caught COVID. And in more cases than none, most of these people aren't vaccinated. Even if you get vaccinated, your chances of dying is a lot lower than someone who's not vaccinated. So if you don't realize the ripple effect of your choice, don't say anything at all. Because if you want to make a selfish choice, that's fine. Keep it to yourself. Don't try and spread this agenda out and cause more people to be like you, and then end up affecting people who are just trying to do the right thing or the sensible thing. I mean, people keep telling me like, oh, the vaccine It was rushed. It was done in a year. Well, if you think about it, if every country in the world, how many countries are there? Over 100 something countries, right? If every country in the world put their top scientists, put their top virus researchers and all those top researchers into finding a vaccine, how fast do you think shit's going to get done? Hella fast. If every country comes together and works together, why are you questioning their authority and ability to do something if they all come together, especially if most of them spend like 20 years of their life studying viruses? And the thing is, everyone has to realize coronavirus has literally been on this planet like before human race. It's just never been effective. It's never affected humans. It's mutated now to a point where it is affecting people. And media plays such a big part in spreading misconception. Like, yes, the first case was identified from Wuhan, but at the same time, Wuhan really is not the birthplace of it. If you do your research properly, you'll see that it's been around for so long that now it's mutated to a form that's going to affect people. And you can't just blame one person for it. You cannot blame a country for it either. At the time, no one thought it was going to be this bad. And what you end up doing is you just blame a country for essentially, for not knowing a virus. Like, you can't blame someone for not knowing something. You can apologize for not knowing, but you cannot throw hate and all those things onto people just because they don't know something. Like, I don't know the laws of physics. Are you going to go off a tangent and yell at me for not knowing the laws of physics? Maybe I don't know how to swim. I do know how to swim, but I'm saying in this reference that I don't know how to swim and I suddenly end up in a pool of water. Are you going to yell at me for not knowing how to swim 10 years ago as a child because now I'm suddenly in a pool of water that I didn't think was in my 10-year future plan? No one plans for shit. No one plans for these things to happen. Maybe they do. What I know is right now that definitely no one plans for this shit to happen like this. But you have to realize that now they've got a solution to this unforeseen, unplanned catastrophe. But a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it's not in my plan. Well, listen, it's not in my life plan to catch COVID and die in a hospital either. No one plans for this shit. No one wants to die early. Everyone wants to live a long and fulfilling life. You just cannot try and justify a selfish and insensible thing and push it onto people who are doing the sensible thing and affecting these people. Because there are people who are literally where they deny COVID and they have family members dying, literally dying from COVID, and they're like, COVID's not real. Well, then what is your family member dying of then? I'd like to ask you, because I'm pretty sure it is not cancer. Like I said, no hate to anyone in that sense. I'm just upset at the fact that so many people are saying that they will not get the vaccine because it is rushed. Okay, I understand that it came out faster than what usual vaccines take to do. However, we have to realize technology, advancement, knowledge, everything, even funding, all this shit is sky high, higher than any other vaccine we've ever had. When all these things fall into place, literally the sky is the fucking limit. Like, imagine if all the world scientists came together to build a rocket ship to get us all to Mars. If you think about it, that is achievable. But the thing is, all the countries are having a space war and race against each other, so that's not going to happen. But in this instance, all the world scientists and everybody can agree that we need a vaccine. We need something to stop this shit. So can we just agree with them on this and just, just go ahead and take care of everything? Oh, I am just rambling on about this right now because the other night, someone was going off tangent saying that they just want to vaccinate all the foreigners now to test out the vaccine on all the foreigners in Korea. And I get that there's like stigma and all that because, not everyone takes care of foreigners here and stuff like that. However, you have to realize that most Koreans are vaccinated already. Way before foreigners were even offered a choice of vaccine. No, I will not send you Mum's Touch. It's my Mum's Touch, man. You're not supposed to come back to Korea for it. Oh, wait, international travel is not allowed. We got a while. I want to go back to Australia, but I don't have 5 grand to go back home, so we're just gonna chill. And like I said, I can go home. I'm allowed to go home. I'm a citizen of Australia. I'm just making the conscious decision of not going because if I go home, I'm bringing back all different kinds of things to my dad, who is very high risk. His age, his health condition, he's very high risk. I'm not going to go back until this safe enough for me to go home. Like I said, yeah, it is really expensive for me to go back, but if I really wanted to go back, we can make it happen. But we are deciding not to because it is safer for me to stay here and for everyone back home. Like, it's out. Like I said, I'm selfish in a sense where I really want to go home. Like, I had enough of this shit. I want to go home. But consciously and sensible thing to do is don't fucking travel. When I got here, we all thought that the shit would end pretty fast. But no, it's almost been 2 years since I've been here. I haven't gone home because it's been ridiculous. I can't go home because I risk everybody else at home. I risk bringing a different variant back to Australia right now. I'm just one person. But if you're going to blame one person, then this is the very essence of that blaming slash ripple effect. Because people seem to like blaming one person for the effects of COVID, and that's fine. Then you as a one person, then don't fucking go around. We have to take as many safety precautions as we can. I'm literally sitting in the back of a cafe right now. I'm trying to finish my homework as fast as I can and get out of here because my roommate is asleep and I didn't want to disturb her. With that being said, more people are coming in, so I'm gonna put my mask back on. Well, like I said, everyone is entitled to their own opinions. I've gone off a tangent for an hour. I should have been finished by now, but I went off and I needed to vent for a bit. Thank you for listening to me vent. But let's just finish this homework. I feel like there's psychology involved. Human nature is something that is still a mystery to the world. Human understanding. In safely achieving human behavior patterns and personality. Personality is also very important. Education to be becoming an educator as a future educated understanding of the topic will greatly affect student teaching. Like I said, this Google Translate is going to be like my best friend. Because everyone's like, oh, Wikipedia is my best friend for assignments. I'm like, yeah, Google is my best friend. Because the thing is, most of my subjects are just personal opinion-based subjects now. So, I mean, this homework is literally, what is your personality? What do you know about personality? Education. What is the core of Taekwondo personality? Education. I don't know. As I stated before, my experience is not very good. So from what I was able to understand the video is as a passenger is a future passenger instructor. He is very the leader. It is very important to understand the essence. Um, Human personality. Without this knowledge, many people future accepted as the result of not understanding the result. Man, I don't want to go to work today. Yeah, it's hard. But yeah, this is also why I dropped out of social sciences because I was ready to punch everyone in my class, especially this one girl. But yeah, for me, I have a very strong sense of saying what I want to say and what I think is right to say because when I was little, I never really learned to speak my own mind. And now that I'm starting to take hold of my own stuff, take hold of my own life and stuff like that, I want to be able to say what it is that I feel is right to say because people used to say their opinions over mine and then they believed that that was my opinion. The thing is, a lot of the times that wasn't my opinion. And that is something that I've been working with my therapist. And with the medication, I've been able to have like a clearer understanding of my own opinions and learning to say and speak up. Once you realize that you have a voice and you can speak up about things, even if no one's listening to you right now, if there's no one listening to me right now live. But like I said, if someone can just listen for a little bit or even realize that I have a voice and I will say something, then that's all that matters. Then me as a person, I'm not being forced over. I'm not having other people imprint their beliefs and opinions onto me anymore. Because before that, I used to allow them to do that so much to a point where people just believed that I was this good little girl for my parents who listened to everything they said. But in fact, I was just a mindless robot that believed that my parents were the absolute and everything they did was right and anything they asked me to do was something I had to do. When I realized that wasn't the case, my parents were like, "Oh, you're lazy, you're ungrateful," and stuff like that. And at first, I was like, maybe I am. And then eventually, when I started questioning everyone around me and everything they've ever told me, I began to realize that I had never really made a conscious decision for myself. I had always just taken what they wanted to say to me and taken everything they had ever said to belief and to heart. And literally, I had shaped my very being to what they wanted, not what I wanted. And when I decided to do what I wanted, the people that I thought were there for me, the ones that cared for me, turned their backs and started saying a lot of shit about me. And the ones who were there for me are still here for me. And that's because they had known what I was like and who I was from the very beginning. They had never tried to push their agenda or their beliefs or just trying to make me into the person that they want. And it's very heartbreaking to get out of that cycle and to break yourself away from a life that you thought was your life because that was literally my life for the last, pretty much, since I could remember. It wasn't until I got to Korea, halfway through Korea, when I realized that they pretty much dictated my entire life. I'm not saying like it's my parents. Like my parents had a little thing to do with it, but it's like other people. And those people also try to distance me from my parents to a point where I had hated my parents for a very long time. I had despised their choices and everything they had done to me. And I believe that they were literally the brunt force of my trauma. But in reality, it was the people that I thought were my salvation. And people need to remember that no matter how much of a salvation those people are giving you, have to really see and look around those people. When I did, it was horrifying. I was in shambles. I felt broken. I was like, like a really like a 1,000 piece puzzle, right? And I was missing a piece right in the middle, not on the side. On the side, it's not as noticeable, but I lost a piece right in the center of my very life, my existence, anything that I've known. And when I used to speak up about things that I thought I should say, like, I was talking about feminism once to a friend, and their dad and one of the people came up and started like berating me, saying a lot of other things, and I was just like, whoa, like this was not how this was going. We were just talking about the feminism movement and stuff, like about the Me Too movement. Like, why are you guys acting like it is the biggest insult to your life? And the thing is, like, that person's dad brought in to the conversation that his wife is treated like a queen. She stays at home, she does everything. I'm like, listen, what I really want to say was I'm happy that she's happy to be a housewife. You get to make that decision. You can be a house husband, you can be a housewife. As long as you are happy and you're not hurting someone, then that's all that matters. And I'm not saying that all women have to work, all men have to work. If you don't want to work, you don't have to. If your partner is able to bring enough income for you to be sustainable without having an extra person at work, that's fine. If you get treated like a queen or king, great, even better. However, in reality, some people don't have that luxury, and some people don't want to stay at home. Some people crave a challenge, and I know that for a fact that that's my mom. She cannot be a stay-at-home mom. She hates not being able to do something. I kid you not, during this entire lockdown, she transformed the front yard and the backyard. Like, it looks amazing. Dude, the floor, the concrete floor, is white. Like, it's actually clean. The only times I've ever seen it clean was for like big parties because my mom was like, well, I don't want to embarrass our house. So she spends like a week cleaning the place. But now, because of lockdown, the entire place is spotless. So what you have to do is just make sure that what you want is what the other person wants. Communication is very important. And the thing is, people say they are communicating well, but a lot of the times they are just throwing their side onto that one person and expecting them and making sure and gaslighting them to accept that person's side of the argument. Does that make sense? And right now you can say I'm doing the same thing. However, for me, no one else is talking to me, so I'm just rambling on. And like I said, you don't have to watch this video or you don't have to listen to me at all. You can just do what you want to do. So it's completely up to you guys. All you have to do is remember, don't hurt anyone with any decision you make. And be respectful to everyone's choices as much as you can be. And always fight back if you feel like you have to fight back. Because not fighting back is like staying silent in a situation where you should be saying something. So always remember, your choices have consequences. There's always a ripple effect with every choice. I mean, I decided to have a coffee, which means I can't eat for a little bit because caffeine or coffee makes, oh, there's my alarm. Coffee makes me unable to consume food for a while. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's always been like that. So when I have coffee on an empty stomach, I can't consume food. I made that conscious decision. I said I want a coffee, so I'm gonna have a coffee, and I will eat later. Maybe closer to work. I don't know, but that was my decision today. And yeah, my stomach did hurt a little bit because coffee Arabica on an empty stomach is not a very good choice. But that was my choice, and now I have a stomach ache, and I'm gonna deal with the consequences because it feels literally like a cramp. My decision was to come here and study, and I have to keep my mask on. That is a consequence to because I decided to come out and study because I didn't want to annoy my roommate because she came home very late last night and she was still asleep. So it is what it is. Every choice you make is a consequence to it. And I think a lot of people need to start realizing every little thing has a consequence. I have a cut on my foot. I wore sandals. It hurts the cut. Well, that's because I chose to wear sandals. And I know I had a cut on my foot. I still wore the sandals because I couldn't be bothered to put socks on. So at the end of the day, you really need to realize every little thing has a consequence. Wow, this turned into a whole philosophy hour. Maybe I should take philosophy. Mm. Mm. This course is focused on understanding changing interactions, missions, and now I'm going to have the hiccups in a bit, I think, because that usually happens when I start burping a lot. And that's a consequence because I had no food in my system. And my conscience choice, I didn't do my homework last night. I had to force myself out of bed, come to a cafe, put on clothes. I was in pajamas, I wasn't naked. Put on clothes and do my assignments out in public because I decided I didn't want to do it last night because I was tired from work. Every choice has a consequence. Every choice. Okay, last one, personal pledge. Let's see, what is my pledge to this class? My pledge to this class is I will do my best to complete my work, attend classes, communicate with the professional when I do something. Not enough. I was unable to bring myself to speak to my professors, and I played some places. Jesus, I cannot spell. Due to my mental health, personal situation. This semester will be different as I have a proper diagnosis, PhD, medication, and support. I will do my best in every way possible. I think I am done. on this assignment at least. I haven't done the outline. I want to eat sushi, but I'm just thinking like, do I really want to eat sushi now? I don't know. I kind of just want to finish this next assignment before I go to work. And okay, let's submit this. I'm gonna look linked out for a second, but uh, yeah, don't mind me. I'm just trying to put marketing done. Okay, so I know that this one hasn't been the most entertaining live that I've done, strictly just because like I've just been rambling on a tangent to you guys. However, I have now completed 3 plus worth of shit, um, which is great because completing the work is very important. But yeah, I have completed 3 courses. Got the attendance point for 3 classes. Nice. Um, which is great because last semester I did not do. The last time I took some of these classes, I did not do shit. And this is a very big step up. My PPT. To be honest, don't even know what is this assignment. Oh, this assignment makes no sense. Chapter 11. Okay, so I'm doing the black test for the fine art thing, and I have to provide an overview. To survey the great buildings of the 14th century in Italy and England, presents the major features of 14th century music. Okay, so I have to explain the effect, the impact of the Black Death. That's why I picked the Black Death. It's the bubonic plague, man. Shit's got so much information. Killed like 300 million people. I mean, that should be enough for you to realize that it can get pretty out of hand with COVID if we don't fucking start taking it seriously. People are still traveling everywhere. I mean, if you have like a proper reason to travel, given like, I don't know, family situations, I guess, or like educational purposes or something like that, it's really hard to deem should be traveling and who shouldn't be traveling. But at the same time, like, if you just go for a fucking holiday, stay home. Just stay home. If you're going for a holiday, like that's the most selfish thing you can do right now. Fucking stay home. Like, I have a lot of military friends because of work, and they're always like, I really want to go home, but we really can't be traveling around that much, and we're going to put everyone at risk. And I'm like, wow, you guys are some of the most selfless people I've met because they're already practically giving up a lot of their lives because they're in a foreign country doing their service, which in a small sense you really don't need to be doing anymore, if that makes sense, because at the end of the day, this Cold War is just something that I just find that like the governments are just doing because they're just like, well, it's making us money, tax money, blah 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 blah, stuff like that. Like I don't feel like there's any actual human interest. There's no safety interest. It's just who's got the most bases around the world, who has the most power. Okay, I have to read the textbook, the one that I stole. I didn't really steal. I just wanted to photos of the place, of the thing. Sorry, I should say. So that's fun. Let me also delete half these videos that I have. Oh, my stomach is really killing me. Shit, man, I have to read the sixth book if I can even do an outline. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna read it on the way to work, and then or maybe I'll read it tonight. I think I'll read it tonight. Yeah, I will find some time to read it because it's not due until Monday. So yeah. Anyways, I'm out. This is me signing off. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk of nonsense. I hope you guys had a good time, I guess. And I'll catch you guys at the next study live stream slash ramble. But yeah, stay safe, stay healthy. Make sure you guys eat. Make sure you guys are drinking water. Get plenty of rest. Don't forget to wear sunscreen because UV rays are harmful. And other than, make sure you study, do your homework. Oh my God, please don't fail. Like literally. And my biggest hugs and kisses and best wishes to you guys until the next live stream, but just in general, like I just hope you guys are all happy and safe. Okay? I love you all. Okay? And until then, until the next time I see you, don't forget to smile.